Okay, forget everything you think you know about AI helping employees work faster. I mean, what if the company itself could think? Seriously, we got our hands on this investor pitch from a company called Cuvisoft, and you guys, its core claim is so wild, we just have to break it down. They're not pitching yet another productivity tool. No, they're pitching the world's first corporate brain.
Wow, I mean, what a way to kick things off, right? The pitch doesn't start by talking about, inefficiency or missed targets. Nope, it claims the modern company is fundamentally detached from reality. That's that's an almost shocking diagnosis of the core problem. And right away, they offer their solution, what they're calling a thinking enterprise. Now, the big idea here isn't to just give people better tools. It's to build a whole new kind of infrastructure, one where the organization itself can think, a self-correcting entity. Wild.
And just look at the keywords they use: sense, reason, act. We're not talking about better spreadsheets here, folks. This is about giving the organization itself, well, eyes, a brain, and hands. It's a pretty radical shift, right? Moving away from a company as just a bunch of people to a company as a single autonomous organism.
So let's dig into that. What exactly is this corporate hallucination they're talking about? Well, according to the pitch, and this is the interesting part, it's not caused by a lack of data. Not at all. It's actually caused by having way too much data, and all of it is pointing in different directions.
This slide, this just visualizes the core disconnect perfectly. Okay, so look on the left, you've got the plan. Think of it as static, right? It's made of PDFs and, executive hopes and dreams. Now look over at the right, the reality. It's this chaotic, swirling mess of live data from places like Jira, Snowflake, and just real-world events. The whole argument is that there's this giant gaping hole right in the middle. These two worlds, they just never truly speak to each other.
And this quote just puts a perfect button on it. The pitch actually calls this an epistemic crisis, which is a fancy way of saying a crisis of knowledge. Think about it. If every single department is looking at a totally different data set, how can anyone agree on what's actually true? You're not really making decisions at that point, you're just guessing.
So then, the pitch just systematically dismantles all the current solutions out there. Dashboards? Pfft, they're just a rearview mirror. AI copilots? They have the memory of a goldfish. And all those shiny SaaS tools we all use, they just make individual silos more efficient, but they never actually connect them. It's like, as the pitch puts it, it's like polishing the brass on the Titanic. The ship is still going down.
Okay, so after basically tearing down the entire existing tech stack, the pitch lands on this absolutely critical question. If everything we're using is fundamentally broken, what's the alternative? And this is where the whole idea really clicks into place. The proposal is to change the entire metaphor we use. They're saying, stop thinking of a company as some kind of machine you need to optimize. Instead, start thinking of it as a living organism, one that can actually learn and adapt.
So here's how it would work. They call it the cognitive loop, and it's basically the operating system for this living enterprise. It's a simple four-step cycle. First, it senses what's happening in the real world in all its chaos. Then it reasons about it to understand cause and effects. Next, it acts based on that understanding. And finally, and this is the most crucial part, it learns from the outcome, constantly updating its model of the world. It's a self-correcting cycle, always getting better.
And this whole loop leads to what might be the biggest promise of the whole pitch, something they call reality correction. Now think about this for a second. Most AI models, they actually get worse over time, right? The world changes and they get stale. This system is designed to do the exact opposite. Every single time it's wrong, it corrects itself and gets smarter. It's not just a piece of software, it's a compounding asset of knowledge. It's like an investment that grows over time.
All right, I know what you're thinking. This sounds incredibly ambitious, maybe even like science fiction. So the natural question is, how does it actually work? Let's pop the hood and get into the tech that supposedly makes all of this possible.
Well, the secret sauce, apparently, is a concept they call an ontology. Now, don't let the word scare you. It's not a database that just stores rows of data. Think of it more like a dynamic map of the business's collective knowledge. It doesn't just know what things are, it understands how all those things are related to each other.
And this metaphor just nails the difference. On the left, you have a traditional database. It's like a filing cabinet. It's rigid. It's kind of dumb. It just stores data. But on the right, the ontology is a nervous system. It's adaptive. It models the company's memory, and it understands concepts. So for example, if your supply chain gets disrupted, it instantly knows how that's going to impact your cash flow, without anyone having to manually connect the dots.
Of course, every great pitch has to answer the why now question. And the argument here is that we're at a point where three key technologies have finally converged, creating a kind of perfect storm. First, you've got large language models, LLMs, which can finally make sense of all the messy, unstructured, chaotic data. Second, knowledge graphs are here to organize all that information into a structured map of reality. And third, you have causal AI, which lets us move beyond just correlation to actually understand why things are happening. It's the combination of these three that they say makes the corporate brain possible today.
So, after explaining the problem, the solution, and the tech, the pitch zooms way out for its grand finale. And this is where they get really bold. The claim isn't just, hey, we have a better product. The claim is that this marks the beginning of a whole new era for business.
And look at this framing. It's so clever. They lay out the history of the enterprise, right? You had the digitized era in the 80s and 90s with Oracle and SAP. Then came the connected era with the cloud and Salesforce. Right now, we're in the predictive era with standard AI and dashboards. See what they're doing? By framing it this way, they're not competing with those giants. They're positioning themselves as the inevitable next step in that evolution. The message is crystal clear. We are entering a new age.
And it all builds to this one powerful ultimatum. The choice, they say, is simple. Become cognitive or become obsolete. They're not just selling software at this point, are they? They're selling survival.
So ultimately, this is the grand vision they're selling. The end goal isn't just to make businesses a little bit more efficient. It's to build truly autonomous organizations that can think, learn, and act entirely on their own, and in doing so, effectively create the cognitive layer for the entire global economy. I mean, talk about thinking big.
And so, all of this leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question to think about. As the world gets faster and more complex, will every single company eventually need its own brain, not just to thrive, but maybe just to survive?